I just stay here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My name is Ed Theriot. I'm the commissioner for Precinct 3 in Caldwell County. Precinct 3 is roughly the area, well, it got expanded this year as part of the redistricting, but it used to stop at 183, and now it goes on and kind of covers that northeast part of the county also down to 1185. But it comes all the way around, doesn't include any of the city of Lockhart, but includes Uland, Niederwald, all of this area, Maxwell, Martindale, Fentress, and goes to right between Fentress and Prairie. So that's the area that I primarily have oversight on the county issues. This precinct, as probably you guys already know, is probably the precinct in Caldwell County that is most that is experiencing most of the growth that's going on now. There's several big development projects that you may or may not be aware of, and I'll talk to you about those, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have about them. You know, in the last probably 10 years or so, land in Caldwell County was relatively cheap compared to other places. And we had a lot of folks buying acreage. They would cut it into 1 acre tracts. And a lot of them were selling it on the kind of contract for deed type things where you just put a small amount down and pay them monthly. And, you know, whether or not those folks got deeds, you know, who knows? And we always considered it kind of predatory practice on some of the folks that ended up with those arrangements. But it led to a lot of people buying lots in Caldwell County that probably couldn't get conventional financing other places. So a lot of our development that we've had, especially up in the northeast sector that I just inherited, is very substandard. You know, it's an area that probably isn't conducive to supporting property values and investments that some folks have made in those areas. But that's changed somewhat now, or a lot. I see with land prices going up that it's kind of priced out a lot of that activity, and so that land prices, I believe, are leading to a little bit of better quality of development. And also there is the availability now of public sewer in parts of Caldwell County. And what that allows is for smaller lot size development, you know, more standardized subdivision type development that we haven't had so much before outside of the cities where there was sewer, Lockhart or Luling. So we have several large developments that are moving forward with plans and construction of wastewater treatment plants. The county development standards have a minimum lot size of 1 acre if you're using septic tanks, and then it allows you to go down to a 1/4 acre if you're using public sewer. So these new developments that are coming in or being proposed are wanting smaller lot sizes, obviously. They're wanting to go down to 40s, 45s, 50s, you know, 60s, just more standardized development. So what that requires them to do is to come in and negotiate a development agreement with the county. And it gives us a chance to, you know, we don't have zoning, we don't have anything relating to land use that the legislature has allowed the counties to exercise. So these development agreements give us a little bit of that. It's a negotiation between us and the property developer that allows us to ask for things. In return, we allow them to have smaller lot sizes. And so we've done a number of those now. Some that you might be familiar with is Stratford development, which would be right on the other side of 21, where 1966 kind of tees in. On the Hayes County side, you'll see all that around Yarrington Road and, you know, a little bit to the east of that developing. They're bringing sewer now across 21, and they have 6 phases of Sunset Oaks that will be located kind of down 1966 towards Maxwell from the northwest direction. I don't know how many lots. It's probably several thousand, a couple thousand or more lots that they have planned. So they're moving forward with that. The sewer from that will go back across 21 into their existing plant that they've put in over there. Another development that we approved a development agreement on today is on Misty Lane, which is just to the northeast of that. Misty comes off of Farmers Road and connects into 21. It's called Misty Farms, and we're allowing smaller lot sizes there on the condition that they're all site-built homes. They've reached agreement with County Line SUD, which is a special utility district, for a plant that's going to take their wastewater. So they'll build a lift station as part of that and pump it to where County Line will have the wastewater treatment plant and take care of that. Bollinger Development, we probably a month ago, we approved their development agreement. They're on 2720, coming out of Euland towards Lockhart. And they're probably 1,000 or so lots. They're also under contract with County Line SUD for the treatment of their wastewater, and we entered into a development agreement with them. They'll have a mixture of commercial, even some industrial lots, but probably several hundred residential lots also of various sizes.
Are the majority of these water treatment plants coming in as SUDs, or are we seeing some come in as MUDs?
They're most of them that we have right now are coming in as part of SUDs, because you have County Line that is a SUD, and now Maxwell Water System is a SUD also, and so they're able to do those. Another project is around Borchard Loop on 142 as you're coming towards Lockhart from here. It comes back around all the way to what they call the old Martindale Lake. I think they're calling it, as for purposes of this development, Longhorn Lake. And so that's a large residential subdivision that are working with Maxwell Water Supply for a treatment facility to take all of that development. You've probably all heard of Cherryville over the years. It kind of sat there for a long time. Mr. Cherry, who did the original development agreement, sold it to a group out of Florida. I can't remember the company's name, but the guy is Shannon Livingston. And so they've gone through a lot of modifications to the development plan. They went into negotiations with the 130 group for an interchange to be put in at that location to provide more service to it, and modify the development agreement with us. So they're probably not too far from moving forward with that development. So let me see if there's any I'm missing. Probably is. There's a whole lot of residential activity, very, very active area. But there's also other types of development that this area is experiencing that are creating a lot of development activity in the county, and most of it deals with industrial type development. We have a meeting tomorrow with the Greater San Marcos Partnership, and the big thing that's out there, you may or may not know about it, but it's the big manufacturer that's looking at Caldwell County. There are still some other sites that are out there, so really don't have any news to share that they've identified as this as their primary site. But they are coming back in to talk to us and discuss some of the roadway improvements that they are needing and the incentive agreements that the governor's office and locally that are being discussed for them. There's significant transportation improvements that are part of that. TxDOT has gone to the Highway Commission because of this project and received approval for funding to expand 2720 to a 4-lane road. Right now, it's just, if you've been on it, it's a narrow farm to market road, no shoulders, very curvy. So this would be creating a 4-lane with turn lanes going in and out of that plant. This particular user, if it were to occur, would have 3 shifts of 5,000 folks each shift. So it's 24 hours a day, 5,000 folks at a time working in this plant. So there's a lot of coordination with TxDOT on improvements to roadways. There's some long-range improvements for 21 of making that a divided highway, which are needed. And we have a study that is almost completed that's very near here. It would bring a road connection to Loop 110 that goes around San Marcos across from William Pettis Road. If you're familiar with William Pettis, it goes right beside the airport and tees into 21. Well, it would just continue across 21 and connect to Loop 110, and then it would go down William Pettis, cross 1984 onto Valley Road, which is right here behind this building, and then come alongside the other side of where that dump truck is there and connect to 142 here. The kind of the emphasis behind that project is to increase connectivity between 35 and 130 for trying to move a lot of the industrial commercial traffic off of 35 and shift it to 130, trying to address the terrible traffic problems on 35. But that'll be a major thoroughfare project, and then all of these other projects that are associated with this big industrial user. Even if they don't come in, there's 3 or 4 other big industrial users that are looking at that same general area along 2720. So that will be a major hub of industrial activity. Probably the other hub area for industrial activity is an area that gets referred to as a smart zone. And it's off of Highway 80, kind of where Loop 110 is now being extended across Highway 80. All of that area, there's about 1,800 acres out there, is planned for industrial development, and it's called the Smart Zone. And what that stands for is San Marcos Air, Rail, and Transport or something like that. I don't know.
So that's called the iZone.
Yeah, iZone. Yeah, also, and they're promoting that as an area that has air freight potential, rail. They've got plans for these big rail offshoot lines that would provide for industries to be able to load cars. there, and then the significant highway improvements that have occurred in that area. They're doing a lot of that in preparation for the type of industrial development that they're anticipating. So, kind of in that same vein, San Marcos is proposing some long-range improvements that would improve the runways and possibly extend some of the facilities that would allow for jet traffic like FedEx and those types of freight activities. That would kind of finish off the airport of that concept. But that's kind of an overview of what's going on, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
There's a lot. So,
Yeah.
so back to residential development. Do you know just roughly how many development projects are in the works?
Well, I think I discussed like 5, that were just off the in my area, on top of my head. And granted, there's not as much going on in the other precincts, like Eastern Caldwell County. I guess it's just too far from employment areas. There's a lot happening in Luling, so that there's some growth occurring there. But precincts 2 and 4, there's not as much.
It's
but
primarily access to 35. And
yeah, and San Marcos, I worked for years there and still do on doing entitlement work for developments, kind of trying to get things permitted. And basically, west of 35, with the Edwards Aquifer being in that area, the regulations have kind of stopped all of that, or for the most part, made it very difficult and expensive. So this is an eastward expansion of the San Marcos market, basically, is what's driving a lot of this. And this is the area that land is available.
Hey, Ed.
Except for the industrial. Oh.
Yeah.
Do you know if Perry Homes going to be a mud or a sud with Maxwell?
My understanding is that they were working, Maxwell became a SUD, as I understand it, and that they were working through them to get that set up. Now, I don't know that keeps them from still establishing a MUD on that property for the purpose of imposing a tax upon themselves and to build their facilities. But my understanding was they were going to do that through the SUD.
So there's no plans for the city of Lockhart to service that area anytime in the near future that you're aware of?
Well, if they do a SUD or a MUD, that prohibits annexation.
Sure.
By the city. There may be some special arrangement they can make in the future for portions of that development in order to get service back to Lockhart. But usually if you're a MUD or SUD or one of those districts, you're a standalone thing until all your debt is paid off, and cities can annex you at that point.
I think you got your question answered. The industrial, are you seeing more? What level of industrial are you seeing coming in? Because you talked about the one that's 5,000 in 3,
Yeah.
in 3 shifts, but there's more coming in. Are you seeing more light, medium, heavy?
Well, a lot of the probably there's a lot of tire kicking, from companies looking at our area. But probably the most serious ones have to do with chip manufacturing and vehicle related. I think that's probably something to do with Tesla. Folks are wanting to be in close proximity to their plant. So we have a lot of vehicle component manufacturing and that type of interest.
Specialized industrial.
Yeah.
whatever happened to the battery plant or whatever, the solar or whatever is supposed to go around farmers?
We still have 2 of those out there. And these are related to, they're calling them solar and battery facilities. They generate electricity off of the solar panels, but they also, they'll pull down electricity out of, say, the LCRA or Bluebonnet lines during off-peak hours. And then they feed that electricity back into the system during peak hours. And that's a way to, part of that overall long-term strategy to reduce, blackouts and those rolling blackouts and things like that. But there's one of those off of 2720 that's looking in that general industrial area. And then there's one looking at the 130 landfill area that's off of 183 and 1185. Early on, they had proposed an industrial park as part of that. Nothing has ever occurred, but there now is one of those battery type facilities looking at that area.
We had talked with Guadalupe County, the commissioners, the county judge over there. And he had actually mentioned some of those coming over there. And one of the issues that they had is the request that those companies were making as far as tax abatements and then infrastructure development didn't make financial sense.
Yeah.
Short term, let alone long term, and they were asking for 100% waiver at a certain point in time, and it just did not make financial sense.
Yeah, it's something we have to look at really close, we're just in early stages of talking with those folks on that.
Something we need, but we need to be responsible
absolutely,
paying for
absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Casey, I have a question, Ed. Is that a holding tank they built in Maxwell on 142 for the water that's coming from near Delhi all the way to Cherryville and beyond?
Yeah, that's one of those water storage, and then it's a pumping facility. I don't remember which of the lines it is, but there's 2 or 3 of those big water lines coming out of the well fields that are in eastern Caldwell County and Gonzales County out there. And so that's what that is. That's right across the road over there.
Will Maxwell be using that water too then?
I believe they're part of those groups that are buying water. There was a group set up that was San Marcos, Kyle, several of the smaller water districts that paid for a lot of that infrastructure, to get out there and get that water. And I'm pretty sure Maxwell was involved in some of that. There's a big line that parallels 21, runs around Ulen and Niederwald, and it comes from the well fields out in Lee County, but that's for SAWS, San Antonio water system themselves. It goes all the way down to San Antonio.
I had always heard when we had water tested off the property I had on Black Ankle at 130 that the Maxwell water was so saline there that it would take a treatment plant for it. Are y'all hearing that too?
I haven't, no. This is groundwater?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that. Yeah.
And do you know what are those big pipes they're laying? I just came back from the Austin airport dropping somebody off Friday, and to the right coming into Lockhart on 183, I saw these huge pipes being laid. I think there were water pipes. Is that true?
Well, that one, if I'm thinking of the same one you're talking about, that there's an offshoot off of the Kinder Morgan gas, high pressure gas line that's running towards Austin. It kind of goes around Schilke Road up in that area and then comes back into 183. But it's going up near Bergstrom Air Force, or not Air Force Base, the Austin Airport.
You've been around a while.
Yeah. And so that may be what you're seeing. It's a big, big line. Yeah, and it's high pressure gas.
Wow. Okay.
Ed, is there a solar farm going to go in the southeast part of the county?
southeast around Harwood, Luling. area.
I had somebody tell me this morning, oh yeah, they're gonna build that big old solar farm. And
I haven't heard of that one. And that doesn't mean that there's not somebody out there, but I haven't heard of it.
They built one already on the edge of Rosanke there at Jetto Road. And they've already,
Okay.
one of the things they do is they basically rape the land. They strip it of all trees so they can put those solar panels in, and people are selling
Yeah.
it like crazy to get away from it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hearing that a lot of people aren't, you know, they've leased land from people and things like that, and that a lot of folks aren't happy with the way it's worked out.
Right.
Yeah.
Very informative. Thank you.
Welcome.
Ed, anything else you want to share with us today?
No, not that I can think of. I have some cards, and if you ever need anything or have questions, give me a call for sure.
Yes, sir.
Just to clarify, you said that road is gonna get study, is that just in a study phase though, right?
Yeah, they're doing environmental clearance on it right now.
And it would come right here at the end line?
It would come just between you guys and Martindale and intersect with 142. The long range plans would take it on across 142 through Turner Crest and Cherryville and connect back with 130 over there. Yeah, we're not a little farming community anymore. I would say we're planning it to receive to where it will be at a stage where we can apply for Highway Commission funding this next cycle, which will be 2023 in the fall. So we'll get maybe money then, and then it's probably a 4 or 5 year project. Yeah. The powers that be out there really want that project. And when I'm talking that, you know, that's the state level and Highway Commission, because they feel like that 130 isn't functioning the way that they envisioned it originally. And so they're trying to do this project and then another one towards Seguin that would provide another connection, maybe in the Shirts area back around to 130. Yeah. They have all kinds of plans for 35. They're fixing to start improvements all through Austin, from North Austin down to 45, and that's going to be taking the lanes and lowering them, you know, digging a big trench all the way through Austin, and so the main lanes are going to be down in this hole, and the roads crossing it, like you know, Airport, 38, and Cesar Chavez, all that will be at level, you know, crossing, and so that's going to be a wreck for probably 8 or 10 years.
You're talking a lot of limestone, a lot of bedrock, a lot of hard stuff to cut through out
We have
there.
that boring company in the area.
Yeah.
Is that involved in that, do you think?
Maybe so, yeah. And then on south of Austin, they're have plans, and probably next couple of years, this will be going on. It's putting an additional 2 HOV type lanes south through San Marcos to San Antonio.
Good, yeah.
So we'll be a Houston.
Our version of Houston.
Yeah.
So can you say who the big industrial player is?
Well, you can Google it in Austin Business Journal, and that's the big one. I mean, I've had to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, to where I can't officially say the name, but
And we are recording, so it's not getting in trouble here.
but it's out there. There was an article in Business Journal, and pretty much everybody knows.
So Ed, you're not gonna say Micron out loud?
I can't. Yeah,
Thank you.
but,
Thanks for the Googling.
yeah, there's, you know, the other
Wow.
groups, are in that same vein.
So those are good paying jobs if they come in.
They would be, they would be really good jobs, and those people have to live somewhere, so, I would think, you know, our area, will maybe not be impacted as much as some other areas are on, you know, a slowdown.
Mhm.
But y'all probably know better than me on that, but I don't know if that's, y'all are seeing that happening yet, but I know the government's trying to
Mhm.
get the rates up and slow all that down. But, we may have some immunity to it.
Ed, thank you for your time.
Yeah,
I'm
appreciate it.
gonna stop this recording. We're gonna stay on Zoom, but I'm gonna stop the recording. If I can figure out how to do that.
Y'all can get food.
And
drinks in this cooler right here too.
I think I will.
Yes,